everybody. This is Brian David Marshall coming to you from the Pro Tour set at Magic Weekend Nagoya. I'm here with Star City Games Invitational winner, Pat Cox. So you got to be feeling pretty good coming in here off of a win last week.
Yeah, I mean, that's my first real win. I top 8 a couple of GPs last year, but this is, I guess it's not quite a GP, but it still feels pretty good, and a lot more money than GP, so.
So you come to this event, you had seen the new Phyrexia spoiler. There was a card you were really excited about.
Yes. When I first saw the set, I called Billy P and was like, we should try and make a white Weenie deck with this Puresteel Paladin card.
That guy right there. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. It's super exciting, right?
Yes. And to be honest, we tried and failed, but then we showed up here and Antonino DeRosa had a deck with this card in it that seemed pretty good. So worked on it for the last couple days, and now we're all playing it.
So this is a deck that's designed by Mark Herberholz.
Yes, I think the original idea was Mark Herberholz, and DeRosa did most of the work on it.
And then the big element of this is getting a Sword of War and Peace on something.
Yes, well, I mean, there's two basic ways you're going to win, either a Sword of War and Peace or just Hero of Bladehold. We run 4. We have more lands than the normal white Weenie deck. We have 23 lands in a Mox Opal, so it's more reasonable that we're just always going to have the 4 mana on turn 4 and cast Hero.
Right, so you see this almost as somewhere as a hybrid between like the Tempered Steel decks and like a pure Paladin deck that's going for like the Kemba equipment package.
Yes, and like we're certainly less explosive than the white Weenie decks. We don't have our Anthem just pump all our guys, but we're a lot less vulnerable to artifact removal. So
well, let's talk about some of the equipment that you're going to draw cards with. You got Mortarpod, 4 copies.
Yeah, Mortarpod is very good against Tempered Steel. They have a bunch of 2/1s and 1/1s. So, and you can rebuy it using Glint Hawk. So you can kill something and bounce it, then Glint Hawk again.
You've got Flayer Husk.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be registering that in a constructed deck. I don't even think it's very good in limited, but it draws a card and it's something to play on turn 1.
So any of these cards, if you have a Puresteel Paladin in play, you're drawing a card and it's...
Yes, and like pretty much the nut draw is just to like have, doesn't really matter what artifacts there are, but have 2 artifacts in play before turn 3 and then cast this. And then you just Metalcraft equip it. And you're drawing cards now, you're attacking for about 1 billion, because they're probably going to have about 6 cards in hand. So they're very close to dead at that point.
I got it wrong yesterday. I said 1,000, but it's
actually
actually 1 billion.
Yeah,
okay, you've done the math.
Yeah. I'm an engineer, so I know.
Okay. You can't argue with that. Here's some of the creatures that you're playing. I mean, and again, this is a creature, but Glint Hawk's also...
Yeah, I mean, and Glint Hawk, it basically makes 2 creatures that comes into play, because with either of those, like, either this is going to die somehow, or like you're going to sack this, and then you get to like bring it back with Glint Hawk and make another guy with them. So,
again, a lot of the Puresteel Paladin decks I had seen online tended to be a little bigger and a little more mid-rangey.
That is actually what I was trying to argue for, and I was told I was wrong, and then we played a bunch of games, and I was wrong. So
you're seeing things like Vault Skirge, Memnite. So these are important not just to have early creatures, but also because they help you.
Right, like when I was first looking at Puresteel Paladin, I didn't really know if Metalcraft would be that important. I was like, well, you can just draw cards. That's kind of like mid-range white deck. We also tried a white-green version, but like having Metalcraft is actually pretty important because A, you can equip Sword way earlier, and then also like you can burn people out with Mortarpod because you don't have to like be paying 2 each time. You can just move it down the line, kill them.
Metalcraft also turns on the best removal spell.
Yes.
In the format.
It does. You can dispatch people. It's a little harder in our deck. We don't have quite as many artifacts as the Tempered Steel deck. And it gets sided out a lot because we end up siding out artifacts. But
Leonin Relic-Warder also pretty nice removal spell when people are playing a lot of artifacts.
Yep. And the important thing about this card is that it kills the actual card Tempered Steel. Though, I mean, Kibler keeps complaining about this. There's no actual disenchant. There's no instant way to kill Tempered Steel. So this is about as good as we get.
And tell me about Hero of Bladehold, the backup plan?
I mean...
The main plan? What is it?
I guess it's the backup plan. I don't know, it's 50-50. I've won half my games with the Sword and half the games with Hero. Like, Hero is very good. That was like, after my initial testing of the format, like I went to Orlando for a weekend, tested with Billy P and Sharfman, and like, we definitely found that this is one of the best threats. It's very hard to kill, and it just wins the game on its own. Pretty good for 4 mana,
And then the backup plan is the Inkmoth Nexus.
Yes. I mean, it poisons people sometimes. One thing to keep in mind that we kind of found out just on Moto was that if you like equip Mortarpod to this and try and burn them out, it deals poison damage. So at least I know that now.
And then you said how many planes do we have here?
23 planes.
Stack of 23 planes. We'll put that with the Mox Opal, and that's a package of 24 mana sources.
Yes.
So what were the decks you played against so far this weekend?
Well, I'm 2-1 right now. I beat Rug, and I lost to Rug, and I beat the mono red deck that also has Kadoth Rebirth in it. And I actually think all of those are good matchups. I mean, you have 4 pro red swords main deck. Like, the Rug deck, I don't think that deck's good. That's the first deck I wanted to play, and like, seems like it has really sweet cards. It's very slow, and like, you can be drawing cards off Sphinx and still not do anything. But I rolled to 5, and it probably didn't play that great. So here we are.
Okay. Looking at the sideboard, we see the Kemba Kha Regent we were talking about earlier. So still something you want to play. Where do you like to have this card come in?
Against red or any of the control decks, basically against anything but White Weenie, any of the slower decks. Like, they're gonna have a lot of removal and artifact removal, and like things like Slagstorm don't kill it. Obviously, artifact removal doesn't kill it. So like, if you can just like start building advantage with that, you're in pretty good shape.
Mirran Crusader.
Well, obviously that's best against any like infect deck, but it's good against every deck. I don't know. It's not good against White Weenie, but it's kind of the same thing. Like, I'll just side that in because hey, they can't kill that because they have much artifact removal. And if you put Sword on that, that's 2 billion damage.
Because it does it twice.
Yes.
I assume the Plains comes in with the White Sun Zeniths?
It does, but see, a lot of these cards come in together. Certainly Kemba and that always come in together. So as we're taking out our Memnites, we end up having to take out Mox Opal because it's not a land anymore. So this becomes the land.
Okay.
The Mox Opal, let's have more explosive draws, but once we don't really have a lot of artifacts, we put in the land.
Okay. The ubiquitous Dismember that anybody can play?
Yeah, that's more of a catch-all. We're not exactly sure what we want that against, but we were like, well, we want some kind of removal spell. We had talked about active aggression, but the things we were talking about, like Batter Skull and stuff like that, like, we figured this would be better unless we could actually kill them that turn. So
I assume 2 more Leonin Relic-Warders come in against Tempered Steel?
yes.
And is that the same true for Revoke Existence?
Yes. And I'm sure there are other decks I'll play today that have artifacts that I would want to be killing.
Right, artifacts, enchantments.
But the main idea for those 4 cards is for Tempered Steel. Mostly to kill actual Tempered Steel.
So what application do you think this deck might have going forward in Standard once we rotate out that pesky Zendikar block and Innistrad comes out?
I mean, it seems like it could be good. Like, we're doing okay with equipment without Stoneforge Mystic, which hasn't happened in a while. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what it gets in Standard. I guess maybe Steel Overseer. Is that going to be? I don't know if that's an M12 or not, but
right. I don't either. And even if I did, I couldn't tell you.
Even then, that doesn't really do too much for us.
Yeah.
I guess these are actually Germ tokens. So yeah.
Right.
I don't know what it gets in Standard. We'll find out.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, you've got a tournament to live up to from last weekend. You gotta see if you can continue to do well this weekend. I'll let you get to shuffling this up because it's all sorted.
Okay.
For Pat Cox, this is Brian David Marshall signing off from the Tournament Center.
Thanks.